Okay. Okay. I posted a Maze Runner video on my channel, and I got like 10 views. And a couple people actually asked me to make a breakdown, basically, of visual effects. So, first thing I'm going to be covering is modeling, texturing, and something else. I don't know. Who cares? So, modeling. Okay. I modeled it in Modo, not 3ds Max. 3ds Max is what I'm on right now. I modeled it in Modo, and then I brought it over to 3ds Max because there's a cool plugin that I needed that wasn't in Modo, and that is GuruWare Ivy something, GW Ivy something like that. It makes the Ivy basically, and I needed that because I saw it on the maze. So if I were to go to Google right now and if I were to write Maze Runner maze, you know, it would. I looked at some images, and I noticed that there was a lot of ivy on the top of these mazes. It's gonna take me to a website. Great. This one is really densely populated with ivy, but anyways, I just use these as reference images. I googled a lot of pictures and videos, and I pretty much just followed that. And here's a good one. It really shows the ivy on here and these little these strands of ivy. I did that as well. It's not as great, but I still did it. So this is the exterior of the maze. It's basically just blocks, pretty much. It's just blocks that go upwards, and I just made one smaller and one bigger, and then I duplicated that all throughout the maze. And then I mirrored that on the other side, because the maze is pretty much symmetrical in terms of the door being the origin. So for these things, I modeled this little strand of gears right here, and then I added a bend modifier, and then I circled that 360 degrees, and that's how I got these little gears right here. So, and they actually do animate. I'll show you guys the animation soon. But I was talking about that plugin earlier, the GuruWare. That's the hardest thing to pronounce. I'll tell you guys how that works right now. So it's by GuruWare, and it's called GW Ivy. And if I click on Auto Grid, and if I were to click anywhere in the maze and change up the parameters a bit, take down the primary way, adhesion up, and if I were to click Grow, it's gonna start growing. That's not necessarily how I would want it to look, but if I were to press pause, then it's gonna show the ivy basically, and it's pretty densely populated. You can change a couple settings, like I'll show you guys. You can change the size of the leaf. Okay, you can change the density of how many leaves. So I put that really high. I put it at the high setting actually. And I just pretty much did that all around the maze. I know it was pretty sloppy work, like here. It just looks like a patch of leaves. I should have done it better. But anyway, that's that. Go ahead and delete that. So the interior of the maze is here. And these doors do open. I'll show you guys that in a couple of minutes. So here's the interior. Let me get a better view. Actually, you know what? Let me hide this. And just click hide. Hide selection. Okay, that's better. So here's the interior. We got a bunch of polygons shifted outwards. It's pretty basic. It's just box modeling. And then I added a bunch of ivy with that plugin that I just showed you guys. It pretty much sticks to the wall, or the polygon that you chose. And then I added some deformations to the wall. And then I made these pillars just to add some depth to the field, the maze. And I added these three over here just to cover the sky up a bit more. And that's how I got the interior of the maze. It was pretty simple. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys the opening and closing of the maze if my computer would. Okay, great. Okay, so I made a basic rig. The rig is pretty basic, as I just said. Okay, I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, here. So we got door 1, we got door 2, gear 1, and gear 2. Let me move this a bit. How do I move it? How do I move it? Ooh, I just changed something. There we go. Okay, so it always disappears. I don't know why. So as you can see, the door right there in the middle, it's moving. So I would animate that value right there, and I would make it close or open based on what scene I was doing. So that's that. And then here's the other door. I'd have to animate both values opposite to each other. And then I don't know if you guys can see it from here. I'll zoom in. But I also animated the gears. So you can see they're moving right now. And I would have to animate that based on how fast the door is moving. So that's that. So a pretty basic rig. I just had it up here on the top. So whenever I needed to animate it, I would just change those values and keyframe them. So yeah. In terms of lighting, I have one light. It's a V-ray light. It's a skylight, or sunlight, sorry. And then I had the sky map on the background. So if I were to render a frame right now, which I'm not going to do because it takes about 40 minutes per frame, you would see the sun basically is coming from this angle based on this skylight right here. And I mean, that's how it was in the scene that I was remaking. If I can pull it up real quick, it was pretty much like that. I was just copying it scene for scene. I don't want to get any copyright or something, so I'm just gonna go one frame. And that's right about here. You can see that there's light coming on this side and there's not light coming on this side, which means the sun is coming on the opposite side. So I tried to copy that. It wasn't that important, but I just that's where I place the sun. And you can adjust the ray size if you click on size multiplier. I just made it about 2.5, I think, something like that. Yeah. So yeah, the IV actually looks really good when you render it with V-Ray, which is what I was using. Yeah, V-Ray, I think version 3. Yeah. So I enabled global illumination. I wasn't using light cache. I was actually using irradiance map. Irradiance map is a lot more complex and it takes a long time to render. So yeah, I think one scene took about 30 hours or something to render. So I had my computer on for about a day. So yeah, I know that's complicated, but yeah. Okay, so that's the modeling and the IV and all that crap. So let's talk about texturing now. I had 2 maps to put on this maze. If I can expand this. Okay, come on. Alright, I'll just talk. I had 2 maps, one for the front of the maze and one for the back. It's really big, that's why my computer is pretty much frozen right now. The files I think are 200 megabytes each. It's images basically, and I textured the maze in Mari, which is a program by the Foundry, and you basically get to texture your models based on your UV mapping. And I'm gonna try and open that right now, if my computer will let me. I just use basic colors and textures. As you can see, the front of the maze right now is pretty much textured, but the back is not. It's the same ordinary color because I had 2 textures because I didn't want all of them to be in one UV map because it was a big maze. So I got 2 images final, and then I uploaded those to, I'll show you guys the orthographic UV. It's basically a UV map that I unwrapped in Modo, and then I projected these textures by painting using the paint tool onto the maze, and that's how I got the textures. And yeah, my computer's pretty slow right now because this is a big file. It's talking 200 megabytes of image. So if I can zoom out, if it's gonna let me. I forgot how to zoom out, to be honest. Okay, let's... Nope, don't want to do that. Okay, let me just click on UV. Okay, so this is my UVs. I know it's not really... There we go. So here's my UVs. It's really big. You can even see there's like really small ones. So this is a pretty... I'd say it's a pretty detailed UV map. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's pretty small ones over here, here, and here, and here. That's basically, that's basic. I don't know why it's caching onto the disk, but anyways, that's basically, small parts of the maze, like the gears and stuff, and I had to texture each one of them, and that's what I got, pretty much. So, yeah, that's that. And I use a 16K, 32K. 32K is basically 32,000 pixels times 32,000 pixels. And that's a lot of pixels if you didn't know. That's why the file was 200 megabytes, and that's why it was slowing my computer down, basically. Okay, so this is Mari. That's how I textured it. Let's go back to Nuke. Nuke is still frozen. Wow. Yeah, I mean, did I say Nuke? I mean Max. So that's why, that's pretty much what happens all the time. I experienced a lot of crashes and stumbles upon the way, but, you know, rendering is pretty much what really slowed down my computer. But, that's that. Okay, that's pretty much what I got from this. And I don't have the textures on right now in Max because it would slow my computer down even more. So I would just render it and see what it looked like there, and it was pretty good at first. And yeah, so that's how I modeled it and textured it. I used Modo, 3ds Max, and Mari for this part of the video. Everything I covered in this video was using those programs, maybe Photoshop along the way. So yeah. So my next video is going to be about compositing, I think. I'll cover camera work, and then I'll do compositing, and which is the most fun part. And that's going to be in Nuke, which is another program by the Foundry. And so yeah. See you later, guys.